Hello and welcome back to Collecting Modern Classic Cars. In today's video we've got another road trip, making the journey down to the Cotswolds, the beautiful Cotswolds. If you've never been, you really should make the effort to go. It's an absolutely stunning part of the country, and if you have been, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to make the trip down to the Cotswolds. It's about 3.5 hours-ish each way, depending on traffic and whether I take direct route via M6, M5 or go M6 and then onto the toll road and down that way. So ample opportunity to test out one of the fleet on a good road trip. So today, you haven't already guessed by the interior, I'm in the Lexus, the LS400. I was tempted to take the 500,000 Volvo again today, but I'm conscious that I've been using the Volvo quite a bit recently and I've sort of neglected the Lexus. I say neglected, I just haven't driven it. I've started it, kept it, warmed it through, etc. But I haven't been on a road trip. Time to sort that out, because it is an exceptionally good motorway car, as today will hopefully show. And one of the things I wanted to do today, because I haven't managed to do it to date, is see just what sort of MPG it's possible to squeeze out of one of these cars on a decent run. The recipe itself isn't ideal for economy. We've got a 4-litre petrol V8. We've got no LPG system as per the Volvo. It's a relatively heavy car at about 1.7 tonnes, give or take. Still quite light by Mercedes S-Class standards, but still a relatively heavy car. And we've got a 4-speed automatic gearbox, none of this 8, 9, 10-speed modern stuff with ridiculous gearing. In fact, we'll talk about gearing at some point on the trip. So I've just been and filled the car. We now have a full tank. We have 85 litres, or about 18.5 to 19 UK gallons worth of go-go juice, and we're going to see. Well, I'm hoping we don't drain the entire tank on today's journey, but I'll basically brim to brim it. So I'll fill it when we get back, we'll record how many miles we've done, and we'll do a proper MPG test that way. So I know that some people might have trepidation about taking a 200,000 mile car. The Lexus has now done 197,498 miles, so 197,500 miles. I'd be concerned about taking a car with such high mileage on a trip. Today's trip isn't for leisure, it's for business, so I really could do without having any reliability problems. But I think, well, what I'm hoping to demonstrate today is that you can make such a trip without those sorts of concerns. Despite the car's, whatever it is now, 25 years old, is it? Well, yeah, 25-year age and near 200,000 mileage. Yeah, you can cruise in one of these things. Jump in and take it wherever you want to go. That's the theory anyway. So at the start of the journey we've done 18 miles. Actually, one thing I do want to mention, what is it about people, just relating back to filling up with fuel, what is it with a certain section of people who rock up to a petrol station pump and then faff around trying to find their payment card? So I pulled up, car behind me, red Audi TT. We arrive at the same time. In fact, she's waiting for me to. There's another car at the pump, so I'm waiting for that car to move up so that we can both get in instead of just parking in the one free space and then making her manoeuvre around me. And then I was 20 litres into filling the tank and I realised that she still hadn't picked up the petrol pump. She was faffing around inside the boot looking for her payment card. Who rocks up to a petrol station knowing that they're going to need to pay for their fuel and then like doesn't know where their card is? And you see this in the supermarkets, people who they're at the checkout and beep, 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 and then somebody says that'll be £100 please. And they go, oh yeah, and then into the bottom of the handbag looking for the cash. Why didn't you have the card ready? You knew you needed it and you knew when you'd need it. Anyway, such is life. I don't know if you can see around me now. M6. So right, looking forward to a coffee. I say gonna crack on with the driving, which I'm stuck doing less than 5 miles an hour, but you get the point. I'll catch up with you soon. Well, it hasn't taken too long into this journey before I'm starting to appreciate one of the big differences between the Volvo and this car, and that's in the engine department. The Volvo has a pretty staid 2-litre 4-cylinder non-turbo petrol engine, which 500,000 miles ago produced around 110 horsepower. To be fair, I suspect, given how healthy that engine is, most of those 110 horsepower are still there. But 110 horsepower in a decent sized family car is no road rocket. And I'm not suggesting that the LS400 is the fastest car on the planet, because of course it isn't, but having a 4-litre V8 engine under the bonnet does rather help with cruising and motorway overtaking and that sort of thing. So gaps that you simply wouldn't entertain in the Volvo are, you know, easy meat in the Lexus. You can make some half-decent progress if that's what you want to do. And the thing is, you don't need to use much throttle. Very, very light throttle openings will get you cruising along, and if you do want to pop into a gap and overtake a car or a truck in front of you, it really doesn't take much of a flex of your right foot and you're there. 260, 270 horsepower and the same amount of torque doesn't sound like much, but especially when you think the Lexus is the weight that it is, but it really does put those sort of numbers to good use. It really does. The car never ever feels like it's short of performance. It's not a 0 to 60 car by any stretch of the imagination. You've got a reasonable lump of metal to get off the line at the start, and only 4 gears within which to spread your 0 to 150 miles an hour top speed across. So, having said that, 0 to 60 time of around early 7 seconds is not to be sniffed at all. I've no doubt this car would match those figures today, despite its 200,000 miles. But it's not really that sort of car. But depending on the route I go, I am hoping to be able to show you some in-gear performance. So if we go down the M6 toll, need to check what the traffic's like shortly, then I will give it the beans out of the toll booth. Giving an LS400 the beans. Anyway, you know what I mean. We'll do that, and you'll hopefully get to see the in-gear performance, which is more than acceptable. Is it good? Very good? Can't be very good. Can it be very good? I don't know. What is very good in terms of... Anyway, I'll have that debate myself. I'll save you that debate, but it's certainly more than acceptable performance, even by modern standards. In terms of what I'm hoping to get fuel economy wise out of today's trip, I'll probably be satisfied with anything north of 26, part of me would really like to break 30 mpg. Have no idea whether that's even possible in this car. I've just never calculated how much fuel it uses. I do have, even if I say so myself, a very sympathetic driving style, so I've been able to squeeze mpg figures out of cars that other owners have only been able to dream about. I mean, our 325 coupe BMW, we can squeeze 40 mpg out of on a motorway cruise. We always get sort of between 35 and 40, usually averaging about 37 on a motorway. My previous BMW 135i coupe, I could regularly do 40s to the gallon out of that car, and I even managed to get over 50 miles to gallon out of my Mini Cooper GP2, which, if you've ever driven one of those cars, you'll realise that that's quite a number to squeeze out of what is, I suppose, in effect a pseudo track car with semi-slick cut tyres and 6-pot brakes, etc, etc. So if one of these is capable of doing 30 to the gallon, I would like to think that I might be able to do it, but we'll see. I mean, this wasn't a car designed for economy. It is a slippery shape. When Lexus designed this car, aerodynamics were one of the things that they focused on. I think primarily, to be honest, more for noise than anything else. But if you make a slippery shape, a slippery car, then it benefits pretty much everything, doesn't it? From fuel economy, performance, ultimate top speed, ability to deal with crosswinds, headwinds, that sort of stuff. So building or designing a slippery car is a good thing. But we'll see. It is what it is. You can read all the magazines that you want and check all the test figures, but at the end of the day, they were all a quarter of a century ago on brand new factory fresh fit cars. What you get on your 200,000 mile example now reasonably could be quite different. We shall find out. I wouldn't normally bother with fuel economy beyond the curiosity, but petrol now at £1.50 per litre and only going up, at least in the short term, while all this silliness goes on in the world. And the fact that in the Volvo I can fill up at Keel Services for 64.9 pence per litre of LPG. In fact, I won't think about that. You want to know what the Lexus is like to drive on a road trip. So do I. So today's trip will be more expensive than it needed to have been, but all in the good of science and entertainment, maybe. So, miniature experiment for the day. In fact, I'm going to have a couple actually. I'm going to see how many Lexus, I think that's the correct term for multiple Lexuses, Lexi, I think it's Lexus. Anyway, I'm going to see how many of this brand of car I can spot today. And I'm also going to see how many other, what I would view as modern classic cars I spot on today's journey. The M6, maybe it's probably going to be the weaker of the motorways for the modern classic cars. Not going on the M40 today, am I? That would have been a good route for modern classic cars, but we'll be doing the M5, so perhaps that will be better. We'll see. But how many people on this random weekday are out driving modern classic cars? One thing I do like about running a modern, did I say running? Hopefully I said running. Running a modern classic car, particularly a high mileage one, is that you're just not depreciating your car. You know, except if this was a super low mileage modern classic of some description, then you couldn't necessarily say that. Although with modern classic cars increasing in value, maybe there's that crossover. Actually, I'm going to shut up and go and get a coffee. Hold that thought.
Hi, what can I get for you?
Hi, can I have a large coconut latte, please?
You can indeed. Do you want an extra shot of coffee? Make it any stronger today?
Do you know, I will, yeah.
No worries, sweet. Anything else for you?
Yeah, can I have a one of the egg, mushroom and spinach wraps, please?
I'm really sorry, darling. Unfortunately, I've not got any of those in today. I've got a vegan bacon wrap, a vegan ham and cheese toasty, a cheese and tomato toasty, a sausage and onion, barbecue chicken vegan panini, mozzarella and tomato, or a tuna panini, or I've also got the M&S cold sandwiches or salads.
Do you know, I might try one of the vegan bacon wraps, please.
Yeah, no worries, they are quite popular actually. Do you want any sauce on it?
Can I have brown, please?
Brown sauce, of course. Is that everything?
That's me done.
Amazing. Go on ahead down for me, mate.
Lovely, cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. She's very cheery.
There you go.
Lovely, thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Cheers. Right, so we had a minor blip on the order. Sadly, we don't have the egg, mushroom. What are you doing, Doris? It's called a road. Excuse me. So sadly, they didn't have the egg, mushroom baps. So I'm on a vegan bap, vegan bacon bap. I'm neither vegetarian nor vegan, but let's try, see what it's like. So you got a miniature taste test as well as knowing about the Lexus. Too good to you. And I just put an exclamation mark on it. So I asked for a coconut latte. Actually, I'm gonna have to play this film back, aren't I? I'll check that hang on, it's on the gap. V8 baby. There we go. See? Ample performance. Short slip road this one. And sandbach services on the M6 southbound, so always helps to have a bit of performance to get out of there. So I ordered a coconut latte. She said oat latte when she gave it to me. I said, do you mean oat or coconut? She meant oat, so we got that wrong. Not to worry. So I've got a free oat latte, and I also have now the coconut latte as well that I asked for, and she's written coconut exclamation mark on the top. So I don't know if that's she's making a point at me or herself. Anyway, I shall play the film back and check that I did in fact order coconut. So I'll give you 2 taste tests. I shall tell you what an oat latte from Costa is like. Actually, I can't tell you what an oat latte from Costa is like. I can only tell you what I think the latte is like. You may think of it differently. Rambling now. Okay, back to my earlier point about running a modern classic car, particularly one that is not a show queen. So that's probably the important point, isn't it? show queens you need to not drive around so much. But modern classic cars just generally are rising in value, so even if you're just putting miles on a sensible mileage car or a relatively low mileage car, hopefully the value of the car is rising and cancelling out the depreciation you might be applying by piling on miles. But certainly you drive something like this Lexus, you've absolutely no concerns about depreciation. Today's journey will be over 350 miles, I would suggest. But it doesn't make this car worth a single penny less. You know, this car has well and truly finished depreciating now. And in fact, in some respects, you could argue the car's rise in value slightly as the mileage gets supersonic. I mean, if you think about the 500,000 mile Volvo, that car with 750,000 miles on it will be worth more than it is now, I'm sure. It becomes an experiment. So yeah, I can pile miles on like I am today, and it doesn't make this car worth a single penny less, which is great. Tax, insure, fuel the car, and you're away. I appreciate that you're wearing components out to some degree, but depending on what the car is, you know, these LS400s were built to do serious mileage. The mileages, they're very, very durable. You know, we haven't got 20-inch alloy wheels with 30-section rubber, so who cares about wearing out tyres? You know, they're a cheap consumable on a car like this. But the one thing you don't have, and I particularly like this, is mileage anxiety. Those people driving around in very low mileage leases on their nearly new cars, thinking, well, do I want to put 350 miles today on my XYZ? You certainly don't have any of that concern in a car like this. Okay, the oat latte, we're going in. Going in. Smells of coffee. Man tastes coffee. It's not going to be a spectator sport, I doubt. Do you know, that's not half bad. Gosh, is that not much of an accolade, that is it? Not half bad. Actually, that's quite nice. It is oaty. I know that might sound a stupid thing to say, given it's an oat latte, but you can taste the, yeah, there is oatiness in there. It's not very sweet at all. In fact, it almost tastes like a savoury coffee. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. Yeah, I suspect that might end up being the only oat coffee I have. So I'm not sure why I would order that over the alternatives like my fabulous coconut milk coffee latte. Is it a latte or cappuccino? I think it's a latte. But yeah, not bad. Not bad. Must try the vegan bacon burger now. Okay, vegan bacon bap. Here we go. No, that's actually quite nice. I say that because I don't eat vegetarian food, let alone vegan food. But actually, yeah, that does a pretty good impression of a bacon back. The main difference, actually, I would say, is in the texture. Don't even know what that's made of. Veganness, but it's slightly rubbery compared to bacon, so you don't get quite the same crispness when you bite into it, when you're chewing it. Yeah, it's slightly rubbery, but actually, from a taste perspective, I'd say that's pretty good. I didn't see how many calories it was, actually. I'd be interested to know what it's actually made of. We'll see if I can find out. We're a good couple of hours, probably 2.5 hours into the journey now. Done 130 miles, and all is well. The one thing that I can say about this car versus the Volvo is how much quieter it is inside. At a motorway cruise like this, the car's almost silent. There's just hardly any cabin noise at all. There's no tyre roar. It's just serene, actually, is probably one of the right words to use. It's just a very serene way of travelling. Just goes to show, actually, you can put 25 years and 200,000 miles onto a car, but a fundamentally well-engineered wafter of a car will still give that sort of service. It's funny, actually, you see these cars driving past modern 71 plate cars, and you think this entire Lexus cost me about the same money as 4 or 5 months of your lease payments. But yeah, I feel really, chilled, calmed by the car's driving experience. So 2 hours in, where are we on the other Lexus and modern classic car front? Well, we've seen 2 Lexus, one relatively late plate GS model, which is quite nice, and an IS300 in a nice sort of burgundy red colour. We're given that to have done sort of 110 miles. So not a lot of Lexus in 110 miles. That's only on this side of the road. I haven't been gawping at the other side of the road for obvious reasons to try and find them. In terms of modern classics, really just me at the minute, I think. I don't think I've seen anything that I would say is, would really suit. I've seen cars that are a bit older, but nothing that you'd deem a modern classic. So pretty dull. But we'll keep our eyes peeled. I have the faith. Just wafting along has sort of reminded me of something I suppose I often wonder, which is why nobody makes a small luxury car. Now, if you think about the driving experience of this Lexus, quiet, serene, smooth, wafty, relaxing, all of those comfortable, all of those things. Why can't you have that in a small package car? My other half doesn't really like driving big cars. She would deem this LS400 a big car, so therefore she avoids driving it. But actually, it's a very easy car to drive, and for 90-odd% of the time, we simply don't need the square footage this car offers, either in terms of the cabin space or the boot space, or just the general sort of width and bulk and weight of the car. So if this was more 3 Series shape, in fact even if it was smaller than a 3 Series, if this was sort of, I don't know, even 1 Series sized, that for most occasions would do us. But you'll never get a 1 Series that's anything like as luxurious and quiet and smooth to drive as this. Why not? Why not? Why is nobody making those sorts of cars? And even Lexus doesn't make that car. You know, I just, yeah, I think there's a market for it. For those people who want to whiz around in a sporty car, and then in the most part, if you actually ask people why, they go, oh, because it looks better, it's got the sports body kit and the low profile tyres and the big wheels. But where else in life do people choose the more uncomfortable option? They don't choose it in clothing. And people are happy to be comfortable in their clothing. They'd rather wear shoes, trainers, whatever it might be that's comfy. Why would you not want that in your car? But I wonder how many, as an example, for every one SE trimmed BMW 5 Series, how many M Sport models they sell. I suspect the answer's probably something like 4. But why would somebody want a 5 Series BMW that's less comfortable than it could be? Apart from fashion and vanity. So the answer to the how many Lexus cars have I spotted is a very poor 7 across 202 miles. So pretty rare. The even more disappointing figure is the number of modern classic cars I've seen today. Or more specifically, not good. More people need to use them. Get them out. There you go. Sporty handling in the LS400. Hanging on. Probably hear some things sloshing around. Soft suspension for you. Anyway, the Volvo behind couldn't keep up, as you might have seen. Back onto the motorway, the car's natural environment. One thing that does surprise me on this car, which I think is it's a curious omission from Lexus, is the lack of an onboard computer. Now I'd be one of the last people to bemoan not having lots of toys. Typically I don't like toys on cars, but I do think a basic computer telling me average speed, MPG, miles of fuel left in the tank, that sort of thing, would just be useful, particularly on a car like this. Now, if this was one of the very early cars, the 1990, 1991 cars, you might say, well, okay, fair enough. But as a 1997 model, yeah, I think by 1997 we really should, have those sorts of items fitted. And if you think back to the BMW E30, in fact even my 1983 Alpina B9 E28 shape BMW 5 Series Alpina, even that's got a trip computer, albeit a fairly rudimentary one. So one of the things that Lexus has become sort of renowned for, I suppose, these days is the quality of the stereo system in the cars. The latest cars having sort of top-end Mark Levinson stereos, etc. And actually the stereo in my LS600 was very impressive. But actually even this car of this vintage has an excellent stereo. It's unbranded, it just says Lexus Premium Sound System. I'm not sure who made it. I'll do a bit of research and post up or down or sideways somewhere if I find out that it's made, who made the stereo, but it's absolutely superb. I'll excuse myself now for my standard and slightly eclectic taste in music, but just to give you an idea of how good the stereo sounds. I don't know whether this will come out in video. We'll give it a go. I'll put a few songs up now. Hopefully it comes across. Stereo works well. On a serious note, the stereo on this 25-year-old car is absolutely amazing, really. I know Lexus these days are famed for the latest sort of Mark Levinson stereos, but yeah, the stereo on this quarter of a century old car is pretty banging, actually. Yeah. Anyway, we need a balance. We need a balance of music. Bear with me.
When I was a boy, I saw my daddy crying at the steering wheel, and oh, it made me feel so scared. And then there was joy from my religion, swimming in a choir of voices, and oh, I knew that I'd been spared, that I'd be saved some sunny day, saved from throwing my life away, that I'd be saved some sunny day from throwing my life away. Keep singing, whoa, keep singing, praise it to the heavens with my voice ringing.
One by special request. This one's for Jerry and Brenda. Good choice.
Your mouth is a revolver, find bullets in the sky. Your love is like a soldier, loyal till you die. Looking at the stars for a long, long time. I've been putting out fires all my life. Everybody wants a flame, they don't want to get burned. And today is our time.
We don't care at all. You and I just can't be free. Now all I know is that we used to be real. We used to be real. We used to be
absolute banger, and that one's for Jonathan. You're welcome. So we're just coming up to the third modern classic car that I've seen today. Sadly, all three have been on the back of car transporters. So we've got a Bentley, sorry, a Rolls Royce. So it's very nice actually. Perfect. So there you go. One Rolls Royce had a Porsche 930. And an Alpha Spider. So far, that's all of today's modern classic cars, which is a bit classic and modern classic cars so far. It's disappointing. Hey ho, there's time yet. Just as we were going through a complete drought for modern classic cars, here's an S55 AMG Mercedes. Who doesn't like a supercharged V8 limo, 4 exhaust pipes? Yeah, nice. Lots of bulk factor in one of those, but ignore that. That's a nice barge. Let's check this out. Just about to overtake. Very cool. With classic bike attached on the mini trailer as well. Very impressive. I'm going to go out there and say that's a Series 3 with some Defender front end type bits. Incidentally, I've just stopped at the services for a comfort break, and whilst I was there I took the liberty to check the MOT history on the S55 AMG we just passed, just interested to see how many miles it had done, etc. And I don't think I've ever seen an MOT pass with quite as many advisories on it. I'll post up a screenshot in a minute, but yeah, needless to say there were quite a few advisories on there. So I think the MOT is due in September, so whether the current owner is dreading that or not, I don't know. At least I'm tucked up warm and cozy in the Lexus. Maybe horrible outside, but it's very pleasant and calming in here still. So, near to journey's end, we have done 350 miles today. Car's not missed a beat as expected. We've had some pretty horrendous weather on the way home. The car's just ploughed on through, absolutely no issues. I feel fresh as a daisy. Just on the way to the petrol station now, and I'll put some fuel in. We'll do the brim to brim test, and let's see let's see what we've done to the gallon. As I say, I'm hoping to get, well, I'd really like to have got 30 to the gallon, but I don't think I have. I said when I set off that I'd be happy with 100 and 100? What? I've just seen the price of petrol. That's where the 100 and has come from. So yeah, I think when I set off I said I'd be happy with 26 mpg. I think I kind of like 28 really. But yeah, let's find out what we've done. Okay, so sit rep, we have just managed to squeeze 49.3 litres of very expensive fuel into the tank, and 49.3 litres is just under 11 UK gallons, so 10.85 gallons. We've done literally 350 miles, which means an average of 32.2 miles to the gallon. So I can polish my halo. Very pleased with that actually. I think that's, for this size of car and the vintage, the age of car and the lack of fuel saving tech, etc., is really very good indeed. As I say, I would have accepted 26, pleased with 28, really would have liked 30, but didn't think it would happen. So to have achieved 32.2 miles to gallon today, I'm really pleased with that. It also shows the health of the car, and of course my exceptionally smooth driving style. But yeah, that's a really good performance actually. I don't know, I haven't worked out what that is pence per mile. It'll still be quite a bit above where the Volvo, the 500,000 mile Volvo would have been, on the basis that I could have filled that with nice cheap LPG instead of expensive petrol. But yeah, can't argue with that. Today's trip has been superb. The car has behaved and performed absolutely faultlessly. It's been a superbly comfortable cruiser. I feel fresh as a daisy. Couldn't ask for any more from the car. So when you think about what these cars are worth to buy, when you think about you know, how old they are, etc., it just shows that they're still relevant today. You could still jump in one and use it for this sort of, you know, this sort of trip and journey without concern. You could still use it as a daily driver. Yeah, really impressed with the car. So hopefully there'll be plenty more of these sorts of road trips in the Lexus. I do want to do a proper walk round video of the car next. As you can see, it's raining, so it's not going to happen today. But in the next few days, we get some dry weather. I'll do a proper walk round of the car so you can see the external condition of the car. Haven't quite formulated a plan of exactly what I want to do with the car externally. But anyway, let's do the walk round together, because since I've owned the car, and in the whatever I've done 2,000 miles I've done since owning the car, I've not even washed it, let alone polished it or done anything more than that. So let's have a look round and see what we think needs doing. But in the meanwhile, thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to bringing plenty more content on the Collecting Modern Classic Cars fleet in the coming days, weeks, months, maybe even years. And there are cars in the collection that you've yet to see, so they'll be coming soon, and there'll be no doubt new additions also. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.